I think the world is changing and attitudes are changing about technology because more and more of us rely on technology in every part of our lives. And we're seeing the negative impact that happens both when technology fails and when technology betrays us. You know, when our data is bought and sold, when we get an unsolicited piece of mail about having a baby, even though I've had a miscarriage 6 weeks ago. And that is a result of my humanity being stripped from the online experience. My name is Al. My pronouns are they, them. I'm the director of fundraising for the Tor Project. The Tor Project is a 501c3 nonprofit. We build and maintain the digital public infrastructure called the Tor Network. We have about 50 employees that work on anti-censorship tech, cryptography, privacy, and all the intersecting pieces of the human experience that go into privacy online. I think more and more people are seeing what happens when all parts of the stack are built in a way that does not prioritize their humanity, are built in a way that can fail at any moment and can put their information or even their lives in a precarious situation. And talking more about how each part of the stack is often maintained by one single person for free is really important. And I also think it's important to talk about this in a way that's super accessible. You know, stack is probably even a word that's too far beyond what most people are willing to understand. But I think the concept of building blocks is really understandable to people, and using metaphors of public goods that already exist, like roads and parks. People understand that, and people have a great appreciation for these public goods, and using that as a metaphor for what's happening online, I think can be really effective. There's a lot of mythology about what it means to be private online, and the Tor Project is adjacent to privacy tools like Signal or like VPNs. The differentiator is that we are a completely decentralized network that's got about 7,000 nodes that are run by volunteers all over the world. So there's no single point of failure, there's no centralization, and there's no need to trust one person or one entity in power. I started participating in Funding the Commons because I was looking for other ways to fund open source software. We were running into these problems of sustainability at the Tor Project, and Funding the Commons was offering a completely new vision of what it looks like to fund something that's open and free. And I was super excited by projects like Gitcoin, like Octant, like Drips, and I just wanted to learn more. I wasn't involved in the Ethereum community or any kind of Web3 community at all. I was interested in new innovative funding mechanisms and new innovative funding communities that were relevant to people who love the internet, basically. And I ended up here, and I have really found some incredibly smart, incredibly motivated people who want to solve the problem of open source sustainability, and beyond that, who really want to make public goods sustainable. And it's been an incredible process to be a part of the Funding the Commons community. One of the latest projects that the Tor Project has been working on is making the open internet more available in China, Hong Kong, and Tibet. As many people know, there's something called the Great Firewall, which isolates Chinese citizens from any internet resource or service that is not basically run in China. And the Tor Project is trying to make the Tor network, and therefore the rest of the internet, more available to those citizens. It's a really complex technical problem, and we've invested a lot of time into both the technical side of this issue and the human side, because there's not just a technical solution. There's reaching out to people, there's localizing content, there's making sure that these tools really work for the people who want them, and that they're available in the languages that people need. Both the Tor network and the internet in general is digital public infrastructure. It's commons that we are all responsible for cultivating, maintaining, keeping healthy, and that is not free. We need to fund that somehow. And some projects do that by being for-profit, and we've seen how for-profit internet ventures can really harm us. They manipulate our basic human fears and our human behavior. And we want to build an internet that's different, that's based on the principle of privacy and doesn't suck up data to sell it. And that requires a different kind of funding. We're often caught in a moment where we're trying to build an internet up against adversaries that have a lot of money and can move really fast. So one of the things that the Tor Project is trying to think about and always trying to push the edge on is how can we get flexible funding that benefits the people so that we are moving at the same speed as technology. Something like the Tor Project is a piece of digital public infrastructure. It's like a road, and that needs to be maintained. There's nothing exciting about filling a pothole. And when you regularly fill potholes, people don't notice that the road has degraded and been fixed and that maintenance is on schedule. Same thing with the Tor network. If we're regularly fixing problems, fixing bugs, people don't see that. It's really under the surface. And it's not shiny, and it's not necessarily sexy, but that is really important for keeping a piece of digital public infrastructure strong. So one of the challenges that we have is funding that work when people really want, and people, when I say people, I mean traditional funders. Traditional funders really want a shiny new feature or a big new project, something new that you're adding on top. And in some cases, that's really what we want to do. We want to build something new for Chinese users or for users in Iran. But in many cases, what we need to do is fill the pothole. And something that we're trying to do is unlock how to get more funding that's unrestricted. It's not tied to a brand new project. It allows us to be flexible and fill the potholes when we need to, or pay an accountant when we need to. Some of these things are not flashy, but they keep the road going. They keep the digital public infrastructure alive and well. And I think there's actually a turning point happening within both traditional funders and funders of digital public goods, the understanding that maintenance is important, that keeping something alive is really key, and reinventing the wheel every 5 years when something new happens is not successful. It's not going to change the world. I think advice I would give to people who are interested in learning more is to really look into the concept of surveillance capitalism. And you'll learn more about how and why our data has been manipulated and sucked up and why it's so valuable, and how we actually have a lot of power in our attention and our eyeballs and our presence. Success looks like everyone can get online in a way that is as private as they choose to be, where everybody has agency to use digital products and digital services in ways that value their consent around data. And I do think that that is possible. I think that it's a really difficult road, but I think talking about the impact of privacy violations and talking about the fact that privacy is actually a human right that has been codified by the United Nations is important. It brings this issue to the surface and it motivates people to say, it's not right that using free services sucks up my data and then harms me in the future. I think that people are motivated by making change when they see the impact of that negativity. And in the future, I think we can have a more private internet. I think people are motivated to make that happen, and we have the tools to make it happen. And if we can find funding streams for products that are free and open source to sustain them and grow them and innovate, I think we can get there.